Okay, so um, I'll go to here. I'm going to do something that I have not previously done on this in this thing, and that is pimp my own website. My website is colossaladventure.com, the Colossal Adventure Company, which is just me blogging about making video games. It's not very good. It's not very complete yet. But if you go to the blog, there are some tutorials on some things that I've had to explain in the past. And one of them is how to use an animation event that I wrote back in 2015. And the reason I wrote it down in 2015 is because it's really, really useful. And I kept forgetting how to do it. I've also got... I think there's some stuff about my... Yeah. So this is the blog specifically about blogging about making stuff for my pirate game. And this is where I built a shark from scratch and implemented in the game. And that's what they look like. And that's pretty cool. Anyway. So you can go to my blog. You can get an explanation of how to do this written down. But I'm going to go through the whole process here from scratch. Okay. An animation event is played on a specific animation at a specific point in time during the animation. In order to preview it, you need to have a model that is playing that animation. So I'm going to grab a new zombie from my list of zombies, Toon Zombies, and grab a model, single mesh, male civilians, and I'm just going to grab, it doesn't matter, any one of them, and just drag them to the same. And I'm going to zoom in so I can look at that guy. Okay. That guy does not have an animator controller yet. And I don't want to give him the zombie animator controller because I really just want to look at this one animation over and over. So I'm going to my animator controllers and do create animator controller AC zombie bite test. That creates an animator controller called zombie bite test. Click on my new zombie friend and I will drag the animator into his controller. Okay. So if I have him selected and go to his animator, you'll see it's an empty animator controller with no animations. And what I want him to do is play the bite animation. So I'm going to go to Toon Zombies Extended, Animation, Aggressive, and the animation we're playing is called Aggressive Bite. If I press play, you can see it in action. Awesome. However, I want to do one other thing here. I'm not going to use this Aggressive Bite that came with the project. I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to just hit Control-D, actually when I have it highlighted, and I'm going to rename it TZ Aggressive Bite AE. AE indicates that it has got animation effects built into it. Once you put an animation effect into an animation, it will try and call that animation effect every time that you play that animation. So it's important that you know which scripts have animation effects in them and which ones don't. So I always tag them with AE so that I can keep that's a thing that's got an animation effect. Okay, so we're going to drag that into his scene and make it his default animation. And if I press play, you'll see that he plays an animation bite and then stops because he doesn't have anything else to do. It doesn't loop or anything. But that's not really what I want him to do. What I really want to do is I want to see the animation window so that I can add the animation effects at certain points in time. So if I click on Window, Animation, I can call it the animation window. Different from the animator window. This is the actual animation window. This is a window that allows you to preview animations in Unity, separate from the animator that controls which animations are playing. You can also just hit Control-6. Click that. And click on my zombie, and this is the neatest thing in the whole world. So I can grab here of this top bar, and I can scrub through. Sorry, I forgot one little detail. When you do this, it moves him to 0, 0, 0. Just double click on him, and you'll center back on him. Okay. So if you grab the top handle here and move it through the thing, you can go frame by frame through all of the animation that Polygon Blacksmith included when he baked this animation into the game, from the beginning to the end. Right? So that's pretty neat. So we can tell exactly what the point where a blow is supposed to land, or a bite is supposed to happen, or an impact is supposed to be felt, and you can have the animation event happen at that point. Trying to do it with timing by like telling an animator to wait a couple of seconds always gets out of sync, and eventually things just don't look right. Doing it with animation events, they're always tied directly to the animation playing itself. So when we want the byte to hit, we want it to hit right there, probably. Something like that. So in order to do that, I'm going to create an animation event. But, and this is critical to understand, animation events can only apply to the model that is playing the animation. They cannot apply to the parent object that contains that model. So we have to create a little script here before we create the animation event that will correctly call the animation event. The animation event will correctly call the parent object's functions. So let's go back here we can leave this window open. Click on the zombie, click add component, create a new script called zombie animation event handler. Okay. So there's two events that we want to handle. We want to handle, and I can go back to my script here and show you. We want to handle when the zombie actually hits, so the player will take damage. So this effect, zombie bite. And we want to handle when the... why did I include that twice? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll fix that later. So anyway, we want to show when the attack succeeds, so the player takes damage. Ignore this zombie bite. We'll come back to it in a second. And then we want to know when the bite attack ends so that the zombie can get back into the game. So we're going to go to, let's see here. Yeah. In fact, let's just get rid of... Yeah, let's just get rid of the zombie bite function. It shouldn't be there. Right, because we're calling zombie bite in the animator handler, and all we want to know here is did the attack succeed? Well, the reason that we're going to have this attack succeeded is later on, much later on down the road, we're going to let the player run away from the zombie, and if he gets far enough away, a bite attack won't succeed. But we want this to apply to be generic enough that it will handle all kinds of zombie attacks, and so we're going to only specify the bite part where we need to. So right now, all we're going to use the zombie attack succeeded and bite attack end. So this is in the zombie AI simple, but remember that this zombie AI simple in the game is attached to the zombie containing object, not the model. One of the things about including this is it makes it a little more difficult to add a zombie into a game, but we can later on create a constructor that will automatically add all the components we need. We're going to get them into all that as we go along. For right now, every time you add a zombie, you'll need to add a new script to it that'll handle the zombie animation event handler. And get my reference open here. Okay. So we're going to go to open this up. And I'm going to keep my zombie AI open because I want to know the names of these things. So I'm going to get rid of all this. And I'm going to do public. I'm going to keep the names mostly the same. Zombie attack succeeded. Public void zombie attack succeeded. Underscore AE. And I'm going to say transform dot get parent, get component and parent. Zombie AI simple. Close parentheses. That's that funky angle brackets, name of the component, angle brackets, parentheses. Dot zombie attack succeeded. Okay, So what this is saying is, whenever this function, zombie attack succeeded AE, animation effect, is called, then go to my parent and get my zombie attack succeeded function. So I will create another one called bite attack end. Public void bite attack end. And transform dot get component parent zombie AI simple dot bite attack end. So that calls the bite attack end function. Okay, so now that we have these assigned, then we can come back to our main game. And after it compiles, we should see nothing at all happens because there's no variables, there's nothing public facing the inspector needs to show us. But now we can call those functions in the event. So I'm going to scrub through my animation here. I'm going to focus on my zombie. He's back at 0, 0, 0 because that's what the animator, where the animator puts him when you're playing an animation attack. And I'm going to say that's the frame that the player should feel the impact. There's a little chalk mark thing here, and I'm going to click Add Event, and it will add an event at that frame. And if I look at the event, it says function, no function selected. In other words, now I have an event defined, but I'm not telling it to do anything. And I'm going to say, notice that it automatically populates with all of the functions that are associated to the object that you're animating. So that's why it's useful to have a test model out in the world. So that one, I can scrub through and see exactly what the animation is doing, but two, I can see what components I need to have attached to my model at the end of the process. So I'm going to say zombie bite attack succeeded for now. Later, we're going to do some other stuff with it. And then I want him to keep attacking all the way through his animation. I want him to count as attacking this whole time. And then when he gets back to here, the very last frame, play, select, bite attack end. Okay. That's all well and good. I have now added 2 animation effects to a new instance of bite attack aggressive. But if I go to my animator for my zombies, I'm using the old animation in here because we didn't have the animation effect animation, but I don't want to have to redo all this connective logic. So I can just drag TZ aggressive bite into the motion field. That will change the animation out for the new one, and that animation will now have the animation effect associated with it. It'll still be triggered just like it was before. Everything should play exactly like it did before, but now my zombies should be able to come back to life after they have bitten me and come try to get me again. So I'm going to press play after I check something. Yes, okay. I'm going to press play, and I'm going to let the zombies come get me. Come and get your dinner. Bites, and oh, come on. It's saying zombie attack succeeded, has no receiver, or you're missing a component. Ah, see? And that's what I... zombie animation event handler has to be added to both of our zombie models. And remember, not the container, but the actual model, because the animation is played on the model, not the container. So now that I've added these, now we should see something better. Okay, he bites me, and then nothing at all happens. What's happening there? She bites me, and then goes back to standing. They are playing their idle animation, so I'm happy about that. What they're not doing is coming and biting me again. So let's look in here. Okay, we are using the animation event motion, and let's check and see where we end up. Let's put a debug log. Let's see if this function is firing. Debug dot log. My attack succeeded. At plus time.time. And that will tell me if this function is firing correctly. Also, this should be called bite attack NAE. Save that. I'm going to come back to my animation here. Okay, Control 6. And I'm going to go to my functions here, make sure they're both correct. This animation event is playing zombie attack succeeded AE, and this is playing, that's the problem. It should be playing bite attack end AE. That is the problem, because then the bite attack was never ended. So now that I've updated the function to be correct, in fact, I know that's the problem, so I can just disable my comment, but I'll leave it debugging for right now. Zombie bite, and oh, come on. So it's saying the bite attack end has no receiver. Okay, so go to bite, Control 6. I don't need to preview it anymore because I know it's supposed to be bite attack end. Yes. Okay, so let's remove this event. Let's go here and right click and delete animation event. And then we're going to scrub to the last frame, add animation event. This is not the right way to do it. Sorry. Let's go back to my zombie, re-enable him, hit Control 6 to go to my animation window, scrub through the animation, go to the end. This animation event should be bite attack AE. So animation events are cool, but sometimes they're kind of fiddly to deal with. I can't change it in the model in game because it's got a prefabricated logic in the background that's saying I'm going to get the one that's baked into the animation, but I didn't bake it into the animation correctly. Now it is correctly baked in. If I navigate off of this function and come back here and select the function again, you see it's bite attack end AE, which is correct. Hit close, disable him, and then I'm going to go make sure that they have zombie animation event handlers. They both do. He's attacking. I move away from him, and still not ending. Come on, work with me, buddy. Okay, so we do need our debugging, actually. So let's press play. He's biting. Okay, so the animation event is not firing, so it's not using the right animation. So let's go back to his animator, and let's actually get rid of this. It really shouldn't make a difference, but I'm going to get rid of it anyway. And drag in TZ aggressive bite AE. Make transition. Make transition. Make this one not has exit time, not has fixed duration, 0.01. And the condition list will be anim zombie bite. And then this one we'll just leave as has exit time. And I'll leave everything else set the way it is. Okay, that shouldn't make a difference, but maybe it does. Nope. They're still just biting and not firing their animation. What am I doing wrong here? Okay, guys, I'm going to call it there, and I'll figure out what I'm doing wrong with the animation event, and we will pick this up next week. I think that's actually a pretty good place to stop. We've actually got a lot implemented here, and just can't figure out why the animation event is not firing, because I know for sure now we're using the correct animation, and I know for sure the animation has it baked in. Because if I can click the animation and hit, yeah?
Do you think it's because you don't have a transition between your aggressive bite AE and your aggressive run? Do you think that would help it at all? If you were to have, if you were to have it look for where his position was, and if it was greater than a certain distance, then it would be to immediately transition into a run. Do you think that might help?
We're gonna implement that. Actually, that's the next thing we're gonna do once I get this working. The thing is, I know for sure the animation event is being called correctly because, or it's transitioning to the bite animation, which it can only do through this path, and I want to limit the paths it can get to the animation from right now because I'm trying to eliminate the number of variables. We are eventually going to have it linked up to run too, but that's not the problem I'm having right this second. The problem I'm having right this second is I don't know. It plays the animation bite, but it never calls this function, and I know that's for sure because this is never displayed in my console. But it's part of my zombie animation event handler, and I've got the animation event, hit Control 6, and I can see the animation here, calls, byte attack and AE. This float and string and object, the functions can take up to one variable, and so you can define the variables in the animation event if you want to. We haven't done that here because it's not necessary. The function doesn't do anything but should call. What am I missing here? There's something dumb I'm missing. So let me do this. Let me run with the animator off, or the maximize on play off, so that I can watch the animator. So if you see here, he's going to get to the stopping distance, get calm, and go into idle, and then that's going to trigger, as you see this is lighting up blue, to start his aggressive bite animation. And I'm going to step through it with him selected, and I'm going to hit Control 6. And I don't know if this will allow me to see this or not. Step through this. And for some reason it's still showing me the idle animation in the animator window. So, step through this, and that's more or less where our bite should happen. And he recovers and nothing happens. So, unplay, and it goes back to being idle, and bites never reset. So, because the function isn't being called at all, but it's not even calling the first function. So, get component parent, zombie A is simple. Zombie tech succeeded. There's nothing else here. Okay, I'm going to have to call it because we're running out of time. I'll do some research on this, and we'll pick it up here next week. But again, I think we got a lot of good things done. Having object pooling instantiated or implemented in our system, in our solution is pretty great because we can use it for all kinds of stuff. We could use it, for example, to endlessly pool zombies. We can have zombies generated forever and not have to worry about cleaning them up or whatever. We can instantiate, activate them and deactivate them. And we can even add special kinds of zombies. So if you get through so many zombies, you start generating new and weird kinds of zombies. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with object pooling. And I'm so glad that we have it implemented. And we got our impacts to work better with our tag setup. We fixed the distance logic so that it's using the more efficient square root distance. And we started on animation events. And then Jim got stuck because he couldn't figure out why his animation event's not happening. Okay, so we'll call it there. And y'all have a good night. I thank you for your